Voting is a civic duty. Let's register on the electoral list. This is a message from Equinoxe Television.
Six p.m. in Boya, chief town of the southwest region of Cameroon. Same time right in Akwadwala. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining me on this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast. First, our major stories. Will 91-year-old President Paul Biya run for the 2025 presidential elections? The answer to this question still hangs on the balance, as even within the ruling Cameroon People Democratic Movement (CPDM) party, divergent views and opinions keep rising to the sky. We'll be revealing the reactions of some top government officials in this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast. Away from that, the divisional officer of Idabato subdivision and the council staff clocked 100 days in captivity amidst an apparently helpless government. The governor of the southwest region, shortly after the kidnap, gave a 72-hour ultimatum to the terrorists, but over 3 months later, the words of the #1 commander of the region remains a simple threat. Those are major stories. Stay with us for details and more. Thank you so much for choosing Equinoxe Television for presentation. I am Immaculate Fogwe. The leader of the Church of Evangelization for the Grand North is being interrogated by police officers. The summon follows a sermon where he denounced the suffering of the population while urging Cameroonians to be bold enough and take their destinies into their hands. Reverend Pastor Yves Foncha Mefire was preaching during an ecumenical service that was organized by the mayor of Fumban. We have greater details with Smart Chikan Gabriel.
Le diable qu'il prenne d'abord le pouvoir au Cameroun et on verra après.
After the outing of the Bishop of Yagua, His Grace Yaouda, and that of Ngaundere, His Grace Emmanuel Abo, recently about the poor situation of the country, the president of the Church of Evangelization has also lamented about the sufferings of Cameroonians. We are talking with the prophetic powers conferred on us that God will not let this country fall. We need some men in the image of Jeroboam capable of changing the dynamics to give hopes to Cameroonians. For the man of God, we need a mental revolution in this country. We need to have men who are capable of saying no to a number of things. According to the president of the Church of Evangelization, Cameroonians will harvest what they sow and shouldn't expect the opposite. If you like, remain in the situation in which we are presently living inside, and you will definitely harvest what you sowed. But if you want that things should change, God will never come down from heaven, because no matter the amount of prayers we make to call for peace, we shall never be in peace. The outing of the president of the Church of Evangelization led to the convocation of Reverend Pastor Yves Foncha Mefire by police officials in Fumban for questioning.
In the same vein, the academia has joined the line of calls for President Paul Biya to step aside and allow new leader for Cameroon after 42 years in power. In a widely relayed media outing, a leading voice in the Cameroon academic circle, that is Professor Jean Calvin Oyono, says President Paul Biya cannot deliver again and Cameroon needs a new leader to rejuvenate and prosper. He says the bishops who made similar calls earlier are rightly within their constitutional, moral and legal responsibility. Greater details with Fomi Armstrong Sander. We'll be coming to this report done by Fomi Armstrong Sanda in a subsequent news edition. Away from that, contradictions over President Paul Biya's possible candidacy for the forthcoming presidential elections reveal that observers qualify as divisions within the Cameroon People's Democratic Movement after civil militants said President Paul Biya made known his intention to stand for re-election. The spokesperson for the government dismissed that as a misinterpretation. Babla Jonathan reports.
My resolve to serve you remains steadfast and grows stronger.
Shortly after President Paul Biya expressed his determination to continue serving the nation on December 31st, 2024, Mute Ambassa was one of the first militants of the Cameroon People's Democratic Movement, CPDM political party, to say that the debate over the head of state's candidacy in the forthcoming presidential election is over. His reading of that phrase suggests that the president meant he will stand for re-election. Like the CPDM Central Committee member, other party militants have affirmed President Biya's intention to seek another term of office. Health Minister Manauda Malachi also confirms this by saying that it is time to strategize for the victory of the party's candidate, who has responded positively to the call of youths of Mokolo. Days later, the communication minister and government spokesperson said the president's determination to continue serving the nation was misinterpreted, adding that his current 7-year mandate is still on course and that the head of state had said at the appointed time he will say if he will stand for re-election or not.
Il s'agit justement d'un recul, d'un rétropédalage.
Political scientist Dr. Aristide Monod thinks the contradictory positions of militants of the ruling party reveal the rift within a party divided into two factions of fundamentalists who hold the opinion that power should be conserved at all cost, and the moderates who stand for concessions. In another perspective, he says the government spokesperson backtracked because of pressure from the bishops calling on President Paul Biya to step aside.
Même le diable qu'il prenne d'abord le pouvoir au Cameroun et on verra après. Amen.
Amen. Still talking about these recent happenings, the annual seminar of Catholic bishops of Cameroon entered day 2 today, with the prelates discussing affairs of the church and the society as a whole. The deliberations continue today behind closed doors. Annabella is in Boya and she tells us that the Catholic Christians expect much from their shepherds who are meeting in the Boya diocese. Her report.
Bishops of Cameroon meet in the Diocese of Breya. Catholic Christians of the diocese have varied expectations from their shepherd. The socio-political situation of the country is of great preoccupation to some Christians who join their bishops to advocate for a positive change at the top and even bottom of every domain.
I think that change is something which needs a lot of spiritual commitment. If the president is going to be back on seat, we just need change. It doesn't matter who is on seat, but change is what we advocate for. Let us have a better life. Let the prices of basic commodities be reduced.
The Anglophone crisis, which has been causing severe suffering to the people of the Northwest and Southwest regions, is also of principal concern to Catholic Christians of the Diocese of Breya. Like ever before, they say a peaceful environment is all they need. They have almost lost everything to the 9-year-old conflict plaguing the Northwest and Southwest regions.
So they actually also have to look at the ways of the means or the ways of seeing how they can also bring peace into our country.
The population of Breya is elated to have the bishops around and wish the voices of the bishops be heard and considered by those concerned.
I agree with the bishop I stand behind them to see how they can talk peace and bring changes in this situation in Cameroon. How many years ago since the Breya Diocese hosted the bishops, so it's a kind of privilege. Some of us have been seeing the bishops only on TV and drawings, but it's a privilege to see them like one-on-one.
The 48th annual seminar of bishops will end on Saturday, January 11 in Boya, with a pontifical mass to be celebrated by the Apostolic Nuncio, His Grace Jose Alvino Betancourt, at the Divine Mercy Co Cathedral in Moliko, Boya.
Now to one of our major lead stories. The abducted divisional officer of Idabato subdivision, Edian Division, Southwest Region, Ewane Roland, has spent 100 days in captivity in the hands of pirates in neighboring Nigeria. Ever since the government announced efforts to secure his release without any form of negotiation to pay the demanded ransom requested by the abductors, the civil administrator is still languishing in captivity alongside a council staff. Innocent Aze has greater details.
Wednesday, January 8, 2025, clocked 100 days that Ewane Roland, the divisional officer of Idabato subdivision in the NDANGOH division of the Southwest region, is in captivity of pirates in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Kidnapped on October 1, 2024 at his residence by heavily armed pirates. All pleas by his family for him to be released has yielded no fruit. Efforts to raise the demanded ransom that was dropped from $5 million to $700,000 by the family has been futile, as the duo's wife, Ewane Rose, cried she does not have that amount of money. Even when she approached Vinjan SDO to help ensure the release of her husband, she was reminded the government does not negotiate with terrorists. All the Vinjan SDO and governor of the Southwest region did was assure Ewane Roland will be released. They instructed the Nigerian consul to cooperate with his country authorities to ensure the Idabato duo and his collaborator regain their freedom. Suspension of economic activities in Idabato and the call for the population to bring back the duo by administrative authorities proved barren. 53 days after, Yaoundé authorities assured he will be released, relying on the Cameroon-Nigeria cooperation. Government spokesman, Minister of Communication Rene Emmanuel Sadi, said in a statement that
everything possible is being done to preserve the life of the divisional officer of Idabato as well as that of his colleague, and to obtain a happy outcome of this unfortunate affair.
On his part, Territorial Administration Minister Atanganji Paul reiterated efforts are being made by the government to free Ewane Roland and his collaborator. 100 days gone, no positive results of the government's announced efforts. The duo and his collaborator seem to have been abandoned to languish in the captivity of the pirates. The family keeps praying for God to save his life and bring him and his collaborator back home alive.
Now to something else. 2 individuals are currently being investigated by security elements for producing fake banknotes worth 32 million francs CFA. One of the suspects was arrested in the town of Yaoundé, located in the central region of Cameroon, and the other was arrested in Kuseri in the far north region. Malaglory tells us more.
Clean banknotes of 10,000 francs, 5,000 and 2,000 francs CFA, ready to be used. From a distance, they look like real banknotes, but a closer view reveals the reality, that of fake banknotes. These fake banknotes have been in circulation in some major towns of Cameroon, notably Marwa, Garwa, Yaoundé, and Douala for several months now, spearheaded by some 2 individuals. Following repeated complaints from victims, police officials engaged an investigation.
Led to the arrest of Adum Iseni in Marwa with a good quantity of fake banknotes worth 32 million francs CFA.
Further investigations led to the arrest of the main supplier, Jida Awuna, who is based in Kuseri in the far north region. His arrest permitted the security officers to continue their findings.
So notice that these banknotes in particular are being printed in Nigeria and later on smuggled in Cameroon and in Chad.
The modus operandi of the 2 suspects, Jida Awuna and Adum Iseni, is that they are paid 100,000 francs if they sell 1 million fake banknotes. The security officer used the opportunity to remind Cameroonians that such act is not accepted in the country.
In Cameroon, the use and the production of fake banknotes is forbidden. Whosoever that continue in this practice shall face the law.
The 2 suspects, aged between 27 and 49, are expected before the State Council in the days ahead, where they will answer for their crimes.
Still on our human interest page, Cameroonians are expressing frustration and anger over the new increase in the rate of mobile telephone money transaction in the country. Considering the increase as a bitter pill to swallow, users blame the government and operating companies for neglect and extortion. Some say they want to go back to traditional means of sending and receive money. Femi Armstrong Sanda has greater details.
4 francs CFA per transaction is the new transfer and withdrawal rate for mobile telephone money transaction in Cameroon. This increase that went official since January the 1st, 2025 remains a bitter pill to swallow for many Cameroonian users. They express frustrations and anger over what they qualify as a lack of consideration from the operators and network providers.
They do not
understand why such an increase will be done without the opinion and views of users. Some on their part question why another increase in a context where people are finding it difficult to survive with an already existing high cost of living. Mobile telephone money operators in different messages say that the increase is in respect to the 2025 financial law of Cameroon. The new tax measure introduced under the 2025 financial law comes to add to the existing 0.2% levy on every amount in a transaction, a move that places further financial difficulties on Cameroonians who heavily rely on mobile banking services. While anger rages towards the government, other Cameroonians say companies in Cameroon have been allowed to care less if their services are satisfactory or meet the customer's need. Amid the anger and frustrations, some Cameroonians simply think that time is right for them to return to traditional means of sending and receiving money.
Coming up next, our reporter Cedric Chakute will be showing us the deplorable state of roads in the Douala 3 subdivision. A case in point is an Antre-Lycée stretch moving towards Nyala Campo. His report.
In the Passy, Antre-Lycée Douala 3 subdivision, residents are expressing their anger regarding the bad condition of the road in the area. They say potholes have given way to quagmires. You see this road, see how it is. We really suffer here. Bike riders at times fall here. It's too bad. We can't continue like this.
C'est terrible. La poussière et tout, vraiment, même les habitants, on ne parvient pas à habiter là, les poussières et tout. Si vous montez un peu plus loin en allant vers Chicago, école Tati là, c'est très grave. Ici là, c'est même un peu passable.
On this stretch of the road leading to Chicago and Nyala Campo, many tracks have been created by commercial motorbike riders to escape the poor state of the main road.
Non, c'est tellement pourri.
The bad state of the road really affects my health. My ribs are affected each time I ride on this stretch of road. There is no road. When we complain, we are told to meet the mayor. When you move to the mayor, they say you have to go to the mayor too. We finally not know what we are to do to have a good road. It is really confusing. Me as a commercial motorbike rider, it is not easy. Customers refuse to pay the price we give them, and when we fall with them, we are obliged to take them to the hospital. All this is due to the bad state of the road. Traders on their side complain on the difficult access they face, which to them do not permit them to easily pay their tax. I'm a glass vendor. I can't have customers due to the bad state of the road. They refuse to take the risk of coming here because they are afraid of breaking their mirror. And on the other hand, tax collectors are there putting us pressure to pay taxes.
Ils viennent raser alors que logiquement il faut qu'ils viennent remblayer la route. Vous allez constater que les rigoles sont déjà en haut et la route est en bas. On n'arrange pas la route mais les impôts ne nous permettent pas de travailler. Pourtant, il faut que la route passe pour que les activités fonctionnent parfaitement et qu'on puisse gagner pour réussir à payer les impôts. On ne réussit pas à payer les impôts parce qu'on n'a vraiment pas d'entrée. La route ne permet pas.
The residents of the area call for the urgent rehabilitation of this road, essential for development.
Chakucho reporting there now in news out of the country. African governments are expressing indignation following a recent speech by French President Emmanuel Macron saying some leaders showed ingratitude for deployment of French troops in the Sahel region. Chad's President Mohamed Idriss Déby Itno has lambasted President Emmanuel Macron for his open disrespect for African countries. Elsewhere, John Mahama returns to Ghana as president. The former president was sworn in for a second term on Tuesday in Accra. Greater details with Eselus Liengo.
Vis-à-vis des propos tenus.
Chad's president criticizes Emmanuel Macron for being in the wrong era after the French president said African countries forgot to thank France for its military presence in the Sahel region where they are fighting an Islamist insurgency.
Le mépris envers l'Afrique et les Africains.
He said the government of Chad is very concerned about the recent comments made by President Macron. At the end of November, Chad, which had France's last military bases in the Sahel, ended its defense and security agreements with France, calling them outdated.
History is being made once again.
Elsewhere, John Mahama was sworn in as president of Ghana for a third term on Tuesday. Thousands of Ghanaians from different backgrounds attended the ceremony in the capital, and several African leaders were present, including Paul Kagame from Rwanda, William Ruto from Kenya, Felix Tshisekedi from Congo, and Captain Ibrahim Traoré from Burkina Faso. In a speech, Mahama said he will focus on fixing the economy, improving governance, and fighting corruption. Mahama, 66 years old, was previously the president of the country from July 2012 to January 2017. He takes over from the current president, Nana Akufo-Addo. Lastly, African-China relations in 2025 began with a visit to the continent by China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi from January 5 to 11, 2025. China's Foreign Minister visits Namibia, the Republic of Congo, Chad, and Nigeria. In Namibia, discussions between the two men was focused on strengthening energy ties, while his main reason to Congo is that Brazzaville has been appointed co-chair of the upcoming Forum on China-Africa Cooperation (FOCAC), which will be held in the Central African country in 2027.
Asia Lucy Liengu ending this first part of the news. Talking Point is up next. My guest tonight is a human rights defender, and he's known as Tung4 barrister NDANGOH TAH Calvin, and we'll be discussing on the situation of the divisional officer for Idabato who has clocked 100 days in captivity. Good evening, barrister. It's a pleasure to have you on Talking Point tonight.
Good evening, Immaculate. Good evening, televiewers. I'm happy to be on your set this evening.
Barrister, the divisional officer of Idabato, Roland Ewane, clocks 100 days in captivity today. He was kidnapped alongside the staff of the Idabato Council. Seeing the way things are unfolding, what do you think about the manner in which the situation is currently being handled by the government of Cameroon today?
It's 100 days since the division officer for Idabato was kidnapped together with one councillor, and today Cameroonians are still waiting to know exactly what the government is doing to secure the release of this Cameroonian that has been serving us in that part of Cameroon. Of course, it beats our imagination, because when foreigners were kidnapped in the north, we saw how the government hurriedly mobilized and those in the north were released. I understand that the government's position is that the government does not negotiate with terrorists. But what Cameroonians are clamoring for and asking is that the government should do everything to secure the release of Mr. Ewane, because his family and people very close to him are suffering. And they want to see their father, they want to see their husband, they want to see their uncle, and they want to see their relative. Of course, the government's primary role is to protect us, is to protect all Cameroonians and their properties. And this is a Cameroonian that was serving this country in Idabato who has been kidnapped, and up to this day, Cameroonians know little or nothing about his whereabouts, and if at all the government has an interest to see that he released, because it has happened before. It happened in Batibo where a Dio was kidnapped and later on killed. Are we going to wait until this one is killed? Are we encouraging civil servants or discouraging them? I think that the government should do something more visible.
Now, Barrister, a video of the divisional officer tied to a pole in the same manner as a goat is tied when about to be roasted went viral on social media. The same video showed another man believed to be the council staff, Etogo Ismail, on the ground with his hands and legs tied. Those shocking images seem not to have pushed the government enough to swing into action or quick action to save these two personalities. What is your understanding of government's stance on this issue?
After seeing the shocking videos of Ewane Roland, Cameroonians have every reason to be worried about the safety and security of this Cameroonian that was faithfully serving us in Idabato. It had happened before when late Mr. Namata Marcel was kidnapped by separatists and murdered, and the death was announced by the Cameroon government. Our fear is that such should not be the fate of Mr. Ewane Roland. We have the information circulating that he is still alive. We expect the government to do everything to secure his release.
Just like the divisional officer of Bativo, as you earlier mentioned, that is Namata Marcel, whose fate remains hanging on the balance after being kidnapped by separatists. His death was announced a year later by the government of Cameroon. That was by the Minister of Communication, former Minister of Communication, Issa Chiruma. Should Cameroonians be worried about the safety of these two individuals at the moment?
Some time back, we saw some shocking videos of the said divisional officer and the councillor. The divisional officer was tied on two poles like a common criminal and being subjected to a lot of torture. And we thought that these images should move the powers that be so that they do something faster to secure the release of this Cameroonian. Images like these are not good for Cameroonians, and the government should do everything to secure the release of this Cameroonian who was faithfully serving this country in Idabato. And we are still counting on the powers that be. We understand that it's a very delicate issue, and the government does not want to send out the image that we negotiate with terrorists or anybody can just kidnap somebody and get money out of the government. But when it comes to somebody subjected to such torture and the hands of people we don't know, and the family is there watching these images, I mean, they start asking questions if it is worthwhile serving this country. So it's a call for the powers that be to do something and to do it fast. 100 days, any other day is too much for the deal for Mr. Ewane to continue in
traitors to be released. You know, the kidnappers are demanding a whopping sum of 1.9 billion francs CFA. How are you expecting the government to go about this particular affair?
I cannot say whether or not I'm really convinced that this administrator will be released, because nobody knows exactly what the government is doing. We want to believe that the government is doing something to secure the release of Mr. Ewane, but might not want the population to know, because it's not good for such information to go to the general public. But I want to believe that something is being done. But Cameroonians want that assurance from the administration that something is being done, so that the family can be comforted, so that the family can be assured, so that the bigger family, the people of Idabatu, can be assured that their divisional officer will be released.
Thank you so much, Barrister, for accepting my invitation on Talking Point tonight.
I'm honored and the pleasure is mine talking on your esteemed television. Thank you too for seeking my opinion.
For this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your keen attention. Coming up next in some few minutes is a program Equinoxe presented by Serge Alain Otu. From us to you over there, have a wonderful evening. Bye-bye for now.